Come in. Hey, Steve, thanks for coming in.
Hey, Doug, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well. You got a few minutes to visit with me?
You know, I never turn down a potential client meeting, and it's good to see you. I've been following you on LinkedIn, and it looks like your business is doing good. So,
Well, I appreciate that.
what's up?
Well, here's what we got. I've got a new client, and everything's doing good, except after we inked the deal, they're asking me about wanting copies of our OSHA 300 logs and a bunch of stuff, which I know I need to be doing that, but that stuff's due on February 1st, and that's a gray area, so I told them I'm going to get back with them, and I knew you're the person I needed to call, so I need to get up to speed and with what I need to be doing.
Well, let me just give you an outline. First of all, OSHA 300 logs, you as a business owner have to look at it from a lot of viewpoints, but let's look at it from the OSHA requirement, let's look at it from the insurance requirement, let's look at it from the general contractor, the subcontractor requirement. First of all, OSHA 300 logs, if you have 11 or more employees, team members is what I like to call them, then you have to have OSHA 300 logs. Now, if you're working on sites, like say you're working for like a Crossland, R.E. Smith, or a Branco, I'm just using those as examples, they will most likely require you to keep OSHA 300 logs because they have to mandate that they keep OSHA 300 logs on their subcontractors, and it's just good business.
Right.
So OSHA, once through the door, and here's how an OSHA 300 log works. I brought an example, and I see you've got one laying there. The one that you have right here is one that seems like you had printed off and it's all handwritten out.
Yeah.
And that's okay, but this is old school. You know what I mean? This is really what they're going for nowadays. We have all these on electronically, and you can actually download this free off the OSHA.gov website. But the idea is that you really have to be intimate and or really fill these out correctly. So there's tricks to it. So let me go back to the outline. First of all, OSHA likes to have the last 5 years of your OSHA 300 logs available. And the reason that they're wanting the 5 years is because they're going off of your injury incident rates. They're also going to look at your SIC code, or your North American Information Classification Code. It's an insurance code. And the idea on that is that they're looking to see where you are at compared to the industry. And if you're above the industry in accidents and injuries, then obviously there's more inspection. There's what we call records inspections, and also a plant-wide or facility inspection, total inspection. So that means they can go anywhere and everywhere if you're above that incident rate. So your goal on your OSHA 300 log, first of all, how do you get on the OSHA 300 log? There's criteria, there's a standard for it, but I'll give you some examples. First of all, and it's pretty simple, when I say it's simple, it's laid out for you. If you have a death, then that meets the OSHA requirements. If you have any job transfer or restrictions, that means that you went to the hospital, the doctor either took you off of work, that's lost time, that's a bad deal. That's really bad because you know that you've got a worker that's really hurt, very seriously. All injuries and accidents are important, but lost time really are severe. Next, you've got on-the-job transfer restrictions or light duty. That means you went to work, or you went to the hospital or the doctor, and they gave you restrictions. You can work so much, you're only allowed to lift so many pounds, whatever. The good part about that is that you're at least at work and you're still working. Then you've actually got injuries or other reportables. That means that you didn't get job transfers, restrictions, but say you had stitches, you're given prescription medication. Basically, that puts you into the other reportable, and there's all sorts of criteria for that. And of course, you always refer back to the standard, which is something that we do for you. You got injuries. You also have skin disorders, so if like any chemical burns or anything like that, you got to record them. You got respiratory conditions, any kind of inhalation issues, chemical exposures, whatever. On this log also is poisoning and hearing loss. And OSHA really requires if you have an acute, which is an immediate hearing loss situation, or if you're in the program where you're doing audiometric testing on an annual basis, or per the requirement 6 months into the employment, and if you have a shift and that's 25 decibels or more, then you basically have to record your hearing loss on there. So when you're working in construction like you do, there's a lot of potential for that, and that's a very, very bad thing. You also have all other illnesses, and those really fall under like musculoskeletal disorders, communicative trauma disorders, repetitive motion. That's where that falls under, or other miscellaneous. So, from an OSHA standpoint, this gives the inspector an outlook or a snapshot of your safety program and accidents and injuries. Also, they're going to try and key in on repeat accidents and injuries, and they're going to want to know that you're making corrective actions for that accident and injury. That's the ultimate goal. Next thing is so let's look at it from a subcontractor or a general contractor. Someone wants to do business with you. In most cases, they're going to ask for your insurance, your liability, professional liability. Then they're going to go on job procedures, maybe your bids and all that. You know where I'm coming from on that in regards to your job, the total cost of the job. You map everything out on the job. Then we go into the safety program. When we go into the safety program, OSHA 300 laws, because they know it's required. And also they're looking at your accidents and injuries. Because if you're having more accidents and injuries, or if you're having accidents and injuries on the job, then that's going to affect you in regards to, are you gonna make the job project due date, the finish date on time? Are you going to hurt or kill somebody where we're going to have a shutdown, and then we're going to be on the news where everybody is looking at our new beautiful facility, but right out the gate you killed somebody or hurt somebody seriously? So those are things that you have to look at. And that also goes back to marketing your safety program, and you know I'm big on that. You market your safety program so you can get better jobs, you can retain people, and also you can attract more people. So from a business standpoint, the OSHA 300 logs are key to that, because it just gives you a total snapshot of accidents and injuries on your job. The ultimate goal is that if you do have any accidents and injuries, that you're putting programs and policies in place to make those corrective actions. So if an OSHA inspector, an insurance company, or a future client is looking at these OSHA 300 logs, that's really setting the stage to say, okay, we want to do business with you, but we know that you've had some issues with injuries and accidents. We know that your experience modification rates, so that goes back to insurance premiums, are high. And we don't want to do business with anybody that is, 1.0 or above. That's the standard. And that's just a whole new different conversation, but you and I have talked about that before on insurance, cost savings, reducing accidents and injuries, also getting what they call dividend checks on regards to cost savings. It's like if you don't have any accidents on your car for 3 years, you get a premium back, or you get a discount or whatever. Right. Same thing with workers' compensation insurance. But a lot of people don't pay attention to that. They just pay the bill and they don't care, and they just market it. They call that the cost of doing business, and that's old school mentality, and you shouldn't be like that as a business owner. So OSHA 300 logs, they're supposed to be posted February 1st. Basically what you're doing is you're posting the actual 300A form, and this gives you your total man hours and also total number of employees that are working, and also it actually overviews all your accidents and your injuries. So what you do is you take your total number of accidents and injuries times 200,000. That's a standard man-hour calculation with OSHA. You can look it up online at OSHA.gov under incident rates or total recordable rates. You take your total number of injuries, if it's lost time or restricted duties or whatever. You can actually pull those out in different categories. There's total recordable rates. That's all of your injuries, lost time, accidents, deaths, or whatever. Then you can break out lost time or just restricted duty dates and get that number. And then you compare that number to the industry standard. And if you're above that, you got problems.
But the overall, all the big number is times at 200,000.
Your total, here's the calculation. Total number of injuries times 200,000 divided by your man hours equals your total incident rate or your lost time rate or your restricted duty rate. You understand that? So there's different categories there. You got total injuries, you got lost time, you got restricted, and job transfer. So that way, when you go to look at budgeting meetings or you actually go to get jobs, you're marketing your rate. That's what you want to do. Our industry average rate is XXX, this number, and we fall way below that. We know how to work safely, and we have the programs in place to do it, and we're ready to go to work.
Yeah.
Because our people are trained and they understand that.
Right.
So OSHA 300 logs really, it's what I call the holy grail of your safety program, because one, it's the number one thing that anybody looks at. Two, all of your incidents and your injuries on here. I just gave you an example, like this one had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if you take 6 times, when's the last time you went to the ER or the hospital?
Yeah.
Let's do an average. Now, you know the difference between personal insurance and work comp, because anytime that you go to the ER, they ask you 15 to 25 times, is this work related? Is this work related? Is this work related? They do. And they send other people in, because then if they know it's work comp or it's work related, then now we can elevate those costs. We're not only going to see you today, we're going to see you tomorrow. We want to get you in therapy. We want to get you in surgery. And it's a nightmare for a business owner, and or a nightmare for a safety manager, or a nightmare for an HR manager, or whatever. They basically are looking at this, and this is really where it comes down to, is your accidents, your injuries. So then if you got too high of accidents and injuries, then what are your corrective actions? What are your programs put in place? It all comes back to people and engaging people in that. Another thing is if you look at it from a marketing standpoint, say you're trying to get employees and team members and they know that everybody's getting hurt all the time, would you want to work there? I wouldn't. It's hard to find good people now, so why should I go to work where management doesn't care for X amount of dollars when I can go over here and work, and it's a lot funner, it's nicer, it's cleaner, and there's no injuries. Even if you have dirty jobs and this and that and the other, because a lot of people like to do dirty jobs, and those are jobs that have to be done, but they're going to get right into it if they know that you have a safety program and that you're watching it and you're enforcing it and following it. Okay, that's part of the job. But what this does is it basically outlines your types of injuries. So OSHA, the insurance company, current clients, they're looking for repeats. Eye injuries are the biggest and most easiest ones. So if I see 4 eye injuries on this OSHA 300 log, what does that tell me as an OSHA inspector, as an insurance person, or as a general contractor getting ready to bring all your people on my site? What does that tell you? It tells you that no one's wearing eye protection. So the biggest thing that I tell people, and when I was trained in ConAgra Foods for Butterball Turkey Company, and I loved working there, this is where they trained me, and this is how I learned my skills, because they said, market your safety program. If we can market our safety program, then now we're marketing it to employees, we're marketing it to OSHA, and we're also marketing it to insurance companies as well. But the most important thing is retaining people, because people have to do our jobs. And if we don't have any accidents and injuries, then we can market that, and we're going to attain better people. So it's really It's the big picture of an OSHA 300 log. Other things that I like about OSHA, or other things that I coach people on OSHA 300 log is details. And on this, if you go to F, it says, describe the injury or the illness, parts of the body affected, or object substance that directly injured or made a person ill. E.g., example, second-degree burns on right forearm from a settling torch. That's their example. That's what they want. So here's the thing. And another trick that I've always learned is you start off with alleges. The team member alleges. Why? Because, we're doing investigations on it, but we really don't know what happened. We're still going to record it from the OSHA recordable aspect of it because it meets the criteria. But in all reality, you're looking to see if it's behavioral or it's company or environment driven or whatever. So on this one, like this, I'll give you an example. Employee alleges while lifting up an AR plate inside a hopper, another employee was trying to tap the plate into place and a piece of metal came off and hit Joe's left cheek. All right? That's pretty detailed, because if I'm an OSHA inspector and I come in and I just see Doug Hunt, okay, I got Doug Hunt on here, and Doug, say you broke your arm or something. Doug broke arm while working. Well, as an inspector, as anybody, that didn't give me a lot of detail.
Right.
I'm looking for details of while working, Doug was trying to move a piece of material, this and that and the other. Material slipped, came down, caught Doug's right arm in between trailer and or material, causing a contusion and or laceration. All right? Then we go back to corrective actions on that. What are the corrective actions? And what a lot of people don't understand about record keeping is everything's audited. So if I come in as an inspector, as an insurance person or client, and I look at your OSHA 300 log and there's nothing on it, or there's no detail, then now I can ask you and say, okay, why don't you give me the files, the medical files for every single person on this log. Another thing is, if you take it a step further, if the inspector thinks that you're relying on your OSHA 300 logs, not only are you in violation and you're caught in a lie, but now they're going to want to look at your records to see if you've recorded everything, if you've recorded everything properly. And if you haven't, you could be in trouble. So where are you at right now? You need
Scared
help?
to death.
And people tell me that all the time. You need to embrace your safety program, Doug. And this is the best step. And the ultimate goal is having zero accidents and injuries on it. And by setting up a good sound safety program with policies and procedures and engaging all of your people, that's how you get to zero accidents and injuries.
Well, and we haven't had any injuries, and I emphasize it with the team, and I feel like we're good. But after speaking with you, I realize it needs to be structured and documented. So, and the other perspective you bring is how we can market that. I haven't really thought about that, but here's the deal.
Yes.
I'm trying to run a business. This is like a whole nother thing that needs to be done. So, can you do it?
Absolutely. That's what we do. And when I say we put together some strong team members that understand this information. They've been in the field. They know what's going on. They know how to read this information, and they're trained on it. And we actually have a standard operating procedure that we're following to make sure that you're in compliance. Because the last thing that we need is someone saying that we're doing the OSHA 300 logs for you. And when I say for you, we're not doing them for you. We're doing them with you. You can never do a safety program for somebody. It has to be done with them.
Right.
And a lot of people, they think, well, and Doug, you're asking me, can you do it for me? We can teach your people, we can motivate your people, but the ultimate goal is we want to train your people on what to do, how to say it, and how to prove it by documentation. So that goes back to you do what you do, you say what you do, and you prove it by documentation. And going through OSHA 300 logs, that's step one. And if you can educate someone on your program at the highest level, and really the highest level, president, CEO, whatever, owner of the company, has to sign these before February 1st. That means that the person that's in charge of everything understands who he or she is hurting out there in the field.
So here we are at February 12th.
Yeah.
The GC wants this from me. So I got two questions for you. One, because it's February 12th, am I going to be fined?
You made me spill coffee all over me because here we are looking at the 1st and you said it's the 12th. That, I mean, you're really in violation right now because you didn't put
Right.
out the 1st. So
Right.
And I know why.
So I'm
I
in
know you're
violation
calling
with the feds.
Yes, sir.
But with the GC, obviously I can't afford any of our GC equipment until we get this done. And I told them we'd have it done in 48 hours. So my next question is, can you jump through hoops and work with me to get this done so I can have these things completed?
Absolutely. And just let me walk you through the process. So here's what we're going to need, and I can email that to you. We're going to need, for the last 5 years, we're going to need total number of employees each year. We're going to need total number of man hours for each year. We're going to need all of your accidents and injury files for the last 5 years. And if you don't have those, then what you can do is you can go to QuickBooks or Accounts Receivable or Payable, and let's pull up all the medical or doctor bills that have been out there that we actually have that you paid for. Because then what we need to do is we can then call those people, individuals, with your help, because this is your information. We're a third party. We can still assist, but really all the information needs to go to you for confidentiality reasons. Next thing is that we can put those together with that data, and if we're missing anything, then we're going to go back to the clinical or the doctor notes, and we're going to make sure that we have everything that we need, and if we don't, then we're going to get those from the records section.
Okay. Have you got a contract I can sign with you?
I don't with me, and because you're my buddy, and also you're a new client that I want to take on. I really didn't know what you're covering today except for 300 logs, but what we can do is we can send one over to you, email it, you can take a look at it. It's an open-ended contract, meaning that there's no retainer fee. We have it open, meaning that if you have any situation where you want to terminate our relationship, we just need a 30 days notice. We also have a 30-day notice on our side in which we're able to terminate our relationship because if it's a liability for us and if you're paying us and you're not listening to us, then it's a waste of your time and your money, and it's a waste of also our time and our money.
Well, and if I'm not, as a company, not doing what you're coaching me to do.
Exactly.
That's the liability back on you.
We do not want to put you in that position, so all of our contracts are wide open. Most all of our clients, after explaining to them, they've been with us going on 19 years, and you know the deal. It's just we want your business, but we also want to make sure that you're not held accountable for a contract that you're not utilizing and or you're not implementing, because that doesn't help you and it doesn't help us because we're attaching our name to it.
I get it.
So now I got all your information. I'll go back. I'll get with my team and we're going to basically send you over a contract and whatever you want to do. If there's changes on that, we can make changes. Please
Consider it done.
All right.
Send it over to me and let's get started.
All right.
Appreciate it, Steve. Thanks.
Thank you. You got me all excited, and that's how it works. Thank
Okay.
you. Appreciate it.